Welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
Today, we are wading into a legal battlefield that's being called the Lumen Wars.
Which is a fantastic name.
It is. And it's centered on something you probably have in a drawer somewhere and haven't thought much about, the humble flashlight.
Exactly.
Our source material for this is a massive false advertising lawsuit that was just filed, and it's against a pretty stunning number of online sellers.
It really is. The numbers are wild.
So our mission today is to deconstruct this complaint. We want to figure out how a simple, a quantifiable metric, how you measure light output, is being manipulated on just an epic scale.
And what that means for us, for consumers, and for the legitimate businesses that are trying to play by the rules.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. Who is suing whom here?
Right. So the plaintiff, the company bringing the suit, is Promier Products, Inc. They operate liable.com.
Good.
And they are taking action against, get this, 153 identified merchant storefronts.
153.
153. Yeah. And these are storefronts operating mostly on Amazon.com. The core accusation is just wide-scale, really intentional false advertising about how bright their flashlights are. We're not talking about one bad actor here. It's a swarm.
That scale is what's so incredible. 153 distinct seller IDs. It immediately makes you ask, what kind of legal tool even lets you take on so many different, often foreign-based sellers all at once?
Well, they're bringing out the heavy artillery of federal law. They're using the Lanham Act.
The Lanham Act.
Specifically, it's 15 U.S.C. Section 1125A. In, conversational terms, the Lanham Act is the main federal law that protects businesses from unfair competition.
So false advertising, misrepresentation, that kind of thing.
Exactly. It exists for this exact situation, to stop one business from intentionally lying about its products in a way that hurts commerce.
So this is a serious civil action. They're not just looking for money for damages. They want injunctive relief.
They want to shut them down.
Permanently.
Exactly. And when you dig into the complaint, you see the alleged method is actually quite sophisticated. Our sources show these defendants are mostly foreign entities.
Right.
And they're accused of intentionally targeting U.S. consumers, including people in Pennsylvania where the suit was filed, through these huge online marketplaces.
And the tactic isn't just selling a flimsy product. It's about gaming the system, right? Like weaponized search engine optimization.
Precisely. That's the fascinating part here, the consistency of it all. The complaint alleges these defendants all use basically the same paid advertising and marketing strategies.
So they're all following the same playbook.
The same playbook. They make these knowing and intentional false claims about brightness. They use these insane numbers like 1,000 high lumens right in the title.
And that's specifically to grab the top search results for things like super bright flashlights.
You got it. They are essentially stealing the visibility that a legitimate company would have to pay for through, honest R&D and accurate product testing.
Yeah. And that creates immediate, tangible harm for a company like Promier.
Of course.
They're spending all this money to make sure their Litzazol and Kodiak products follow industry standards, but then their truthful listings just get buried under this mountain of 5 million lumen garbage that costs, pennies to make?
It makes it impossible to compete, honestly. How can you, when the main metric everyone is searching for is just defined by outright fiction?
Okay, before we dive into the physics of this lie, which is my favorite part, we need to define the term itself. Let's make sure everyone listening knows what we're talking about. What exactly is a lumen?
A lumen is, simply put, the standard international unit for measuring total light output. It's also called luminous flux.
That's the number you see on the box of a light bulb.
Exactly. It's the metric we all use, universally, to compare brightness. More lumens means more light. Pretty simple.
So to keep everyone honest, there must be some kind of standard for measuring it.
There is. The industry established what's called the ANSI-Plato FL119 standard. It was created by the Portable Lights Trade Organization.
So it's the official rulebook.
It's the official rulebook. It defines exactly how to test and report things like light output, runtime, beam distance. If a manufacturer says they follow the ANSI-Plato standard, it means they used an accredited, repeatable method. It gives the consumer data they can actually trust. It's the industry's referee.
And when you look at the claims made by these 153 defendants, it's clear they didn't just ignore the rule book.
They set it on fire.
They set it on fire. The source material shows advertised lumen outputs ranging from an exaggerated 500 lumens all the way up to a scientifically impossible 5 million. lumen.
5 million. And these numbers aren't buried in the fine print. You see claims like 100,000 and 990,000 high lumens plastered right in the product titles in the main images on the marketplace.
Which is so important legally, right? It
Yeah.
proves the claims are highly material to your decision to buy it.
Absolutely. They are designed to grab you the second you search for a bright flashlight.
Okay, this is where it gets really, really interesting. Because we're not just talking about a little exaggeration anymore. We are talking about physically impossible claims. Let's dig into the physics of a 1 million lumen portable flashlight.
This is the real aha moment of the entire filing. Let's just work backward. Let's assume the absolute best case scenario for the technology.
Go ahead.
Let's say a device was unbelievably efficient, like 250 lumens per watt, which is already pushing the limits of what's commercially available.
So super duper efficient.
Right. To get to 5 million lumens, that super efficient power source would still need to supply 4,000 continuous watts of electricity.
4,000 watts. For context, that sounds like enough to run a small apartment.
It is. Now let's be realistic. A real portable flashlight, it's dealing with heat, with internal resistance, with all sorts of electrical losses. It's typically operating in the 60 to 120 lumens per watt range.
Okay, so much less efficient.
Much less. At that actual efficiency, the power you'd need jumps dramatically. We're now talking somewhere between 8,000 and over 16,000 watts.
Wait a minute. If the power requirement is that high, doesn't that just by definition mean it can't be a handheld device?
Absolutely. And this is the best part. The complaint gives this wonderful, really memorable analogy to illustrate this exact point.
I love this part.
To get that level of power, that sustained output, the battery would have to be massive and stationary. The court filing specifically mentions a Tesla Powerwall 3.
A Powerwall. The big battery box that, for anyone who doesn't have one in their garage, is the size of a compact refrigerator.
And weighs about 287 pounds.
So you're saying to power this 5 million lumen flashlight, I'd need a battery that weighs almost 300 pounds.
Precisely. That is the true scale of the power source required. The small rechargeable batteries these things actually use, like the standard 18650 lithium-ion cells, they simply cannot sustain that kind of discharge rate. They would fail catastrophically, or the voltage would just plummet.
So the claims aren't just inaccurate.
They are scientifically impossible for a portable device of that size.
I just love that. The proof of the lie is the fact that you can hold it in your hand.
Yes.
If you buy a flashlight claiming 1 million lumens and it doesn't require a forklift to carry its power source, you know you've been scammed.
And that comparison, a little handheld tube versus a refrigerator-sized battery, that is the key takeaway for you, for the consumer. When you see a claim that so clearly violates the basic laws of energy density, you know the seller is fundamentally misleading you.
Now, the plaintiff here didn't just rely on the physics of a Powerwall. They actually commissioned specialized third-party tests.
They did. They had the testing done by a company called Elite Electronic Engineering. And this is important. They are an organization accredited to the international standard ISO/IE 17021-5.
So their results are legit.
They're legit. And they complied with those ANSI Plato standards for testing, which makes the data pretty much irrefutable in a courtroom.
And the test results are, well, they're damning. Let's talk numbers. The advertised claims went up to 5 million lumens. What was the highest actual output they measured?
The highest they got across all of these fraudulent flashlights was only 27,135 lumens.
Okay, so that's a massive gap already.
It is, but it gets worse. The overall performance is just abysmal. While the single best-performing flashlight they tested still only generated about 2/3 of its own advertised claim.
Which is still false advertising.
Oh, absolutely. But the bulk of them, the vast majority of the tested flashlights, performed at less than 1%.
Less than 1%.
Less than 1% of their advertised lumen output.
So you're paying for a searchlight that you think can illuminate a football field, and what you get is barely enough to find your way to the bathroom during a power outage.
It's a near total failure to deliver the advertised product. And this just highlights the vulnerability of the consumer. I mean, who has an integrating sphere that's the specialized, calibrated tech you need to measure lumens? Who has one of those in their basement?
Nobody.
Nobody. You are completely reliant on what the seller tells you. And when those claims are proven to be so wildly false, it causes this concurrent, indivisible harm to both the plaintiff trying to compete fairly and to the public who just lose trust and waste their money.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit to the courtroom itself. Promier is suing 153 foreign entities. How does jurisdiction even work here? How can they sue all these different sellers in a court in Pennsylvania?
Well, The legal argument is pretty straightforward. If these foreign companies want access to the very lucrative U.S. market, they have to respect U.S. laws.
Right, that makes sense.
The defendants are alleged to have availed themselves of Pennsylvania's laws by targeting their business activities specifically at U.S. consumers through these huge online marketplaces. They accept U.S. dollars, they offer shipping into the state, they make a lot of money from it.
So they should reasonably expect to be sued there.
They should reasonably expect to be subject to legal action there. If you seek profit within the U.S. legal framework, you have to abide by the Lanham Act within that same framework.
And the harm here is long-term, isn't it? It's not just about the lost sales for Promier.
Oh, not at all. There's a serious erosion of consumer trust. When you buy a flashlight that claims 5 million lumens and it's weak, you become skeptical of all flashlight ads, even the truthful ones. It poisons the well for the entire industry.
Which brings us back to the big question of the online marketplace itself. If the defendants are foreign and they're constantly changing their seller IDs to pop back up, is this lawsuit really just aimed at them? Or is it also aimed at the platform that enables this whole cycle?
I think that's the strategic heart of the case. While the complaint names the sellers, the relief they're asking for points directly at the platform.
How so?
Well, yes, Promier is seeking injunctions to stop the false advertising, but they also want an order that would require Amazon to cease facilitating access to these offending storefronts.
They want the platform to step in and act as a gatekeeper.
They do. They also want the court to sequester the goods, to freeze the defendants' financial assets, to make sure that any monetary judgment they win can actually be collected.
Because otherwise they just disappear and pop up under a new name.
Exactly. It speaks to this whole cycle of fraud. Without cooperation from the marketplace, stopping 153 entities is like a game of whack-a-mole. It highlights the systemic vulnerability that's built into these huge open platforms.
This has been an incredibly revealing deep dive. We've really seen the intersection of physics, law, and predatory online selling.
Absolutely.
We've shown how a simple metric, the lumen, is being just grossly exploited at a massive scale, forcing legitimate companies into this technological and legal war just to keep their accurate search results visible.
And this raises a really important question for you, for the listener, to think about. If a basic quantifiable metric like light output can be so massively exaggerated, with claims that we now know would require a power source the size of a refrigerator, what responsibility does the platform have? What is their role in auditing and preventing this constant flow of scientifically impossible claims that are so clearly designed to hijack search and harm honest competitors?
Absolutely. So next time you see a seemingly unbelievable performance claim on any gadget you're buying, battery life, processing speed, brightness, whatever, just consider for a second whether that advertised metric would require a power source that weighs 287 pounds. Stay curious and keep digging.